Hello and welcome to Lady Dynamite Creates. Today I've got a special surprise for you. I'm going to be working on a Dollightful Bunny. I was super excited when I saw that Catherine had made the bunny free for download on Thingiverse, and knew that I needed to make one for my delightful loving daughter. So the first thing I did was secretly record my daughter telling me exactly how she would customize her very own Dollightful Bunny. So here she is telling me exactly what she wanted.
It would be pink bunny, brown snout right here, brown.
So the bunny,
no, white snout.
So the pink bunny with a white snout. What about the inside of the ears?
Inside of the ears would be it would have some fur inside that was white.
Oh, so you want some fur added to it?
Yeah, some fur in the ear, and the eye color would be purple.
Purple eyes.
And you have eyelashes. The shirt would have a blue shirt with a rainbow on it, and some shorts, some jean shorts.
Very cute.
And it would have a little chocolate basket where it put all its little carrots.
Oh, that's a cute. So like a brown colored basket with carrots in it.
Yeah, like the normal kind of basket color.
Like the brown
wicker. Like Little Red Riding Hood's basket, but filled with carrots.
That's a cute idea. I like that.
Little mini carrots that you can make out of clay. Are you going to make one for me?
I don't know. I was just thinking of different bunny ideas, and I thought I'd get your input on some bunny ideas.
I want one.
So, as you can see, my daughter had some very specific ideas on what she wanted, and I was aiming to please. But to get you up to where we are, I took my airbrush and did a light blushing of pinks and whites onto the doll just to get a base coat down, then gave it a coat of Mr. Super Clear before I started on the blushing with pastels and using watercolor pencils. I used a pink watercolor pencil to draw out the eyeliner line in the tear duct area of the doll. This is just so that I get the shape right before I go in with the black. I give the eyeliner a winged look because I want her to have a very feminine feel. I use the same pink to fill in her nose as well. I then go over the pink with the black watercolor pencil. Using a slightly darker pink watercolor pencil, I add in her eyebrow tufts. Using a brownish pink pastel, I shade in her eyeshadow area. I choose these very neutral tones just so it looks like a natural look and not like she's wearing makeup. I'm looking for her to be a childlike bunny, not a Jessica Rabbit. I use this same brown pastel to blush down in her ears. It gives a nice transition from the darker brownish pink to the lighter pink at the tips. Using a brown watercolor pencil, I lightly sketch in her eyelid crease. And then using a pop of bright pink, I blush the apples of her cheeks. And with that, her face-up's done. She only had the one layer of pastels to seal, so it's a pretty easy face-up overall. Now to apply her lashes, I'm going to be using a little bit of the Gem Tack glue. This glue dries clear. So I take the doll lashes, and since I do have a little bit of sticky backing already on them, I use that to adhere it to the surface first. Once it's down, I can apply a light layer of the Gem Tack to the top of the eyelash and to the underside of it to get a good hold. While I wait on the eyelashes to dry, I'm going to apply the hair to the inside of the ears. I'm using a little bit of brushed yarn, and I'm using some of that same Gem Tack glue that dries clear. I apply it just to the bottoms of the tufts of hair and poke it down into the ear with a toothpick. To make her eyes, none of my UV resin molds were small enough, so I'm having to use a little bit of clay this time. So I'm using some Sculpey Translucent. I find that this color works best when making eyes. It has that nice eye-like quality to it so that it's not a pure white. I take and pinch off smaller pieces of clay and push them down into the eye molds a little bit at a time, and then once I've gotten the eye mold completely filled, I scrape off any excess off the top. To remove the eyes, I gently bend the mold and expose as much of the eye as possible, and then lift out the eyeball itself, careful not to distort it. Any funky looking eyes just get remolded. Then I bake these according to the package directions. After the eyes have been baked and cooled, I can start painting. I apply a couple of layers of purple acrylic paint to get a good opacity. After the paint has had a chance to dry, I apply some purple mica powder on top of that. To add the pupils, I first apply dots of UV resin into the bases of each of these eyes. Then I drop in these flat back gemstones that have a blue-purple shift to them. Once all the pupils are in, I hit it with a UV light to set those in place. After that, I fill up the entire iris cavity with UV gel, and then I set those aside to cure. The final step is applying a glossy top coat of UV resin. Once they're all finished, I pick out my 2 best ones and pop them into the doll for a test fit. On to her clothes! I made a pretty simple short pattern, and the first thing I do is hem the bottom of the shorts. I use my flat iron to iron down the hem so that it stays flat and it makes it easier to sew. Once I have the hem sewn, I can put right side spacing and sew up that front L-shaped seam. Next, I add a bit of stretchy lace elastic for the waistband. I pin it in place at the ends and the middle, and then I stretch it as I sew and sew a zigzag stitch along that line. This makes it so the fabric ruches in and will fit more snugly to the doll, and the elastic can still stretch. After that, I sewed up the back seam and the crotch, and then the shorts were done. Sorry about not having that footage, but the camera didn't record it. For this shirt, I've made a very simple tank top pattern, and the first thing I do is apply a little bit of fray check to the neck hole, then I gently fold in the seam allowance, and then I iron that in place. The iron just helps set the glue. Now I can sew up the side seams. To do this, I fold the shirt right side spacing and sew up along that side. Now I'm going to add on that rainbow decal. To do this, I just apply the layers in their appropriate order using my flat iron to help set it onto the fabric. When you're applying a lot of vinyl layers on top of each other, you do have to watch your heat because you can scorch the underlying vinyl layers. I felt like the shirt was looking just a little bit too plain, so I decided to add in a little bit of pink decorative trim. Then the final step to do on the shirt is to add the Velcro backing. Now for the accessories. I found this cute little basket on Thingiverse, and I'll link that in the description box below, but I scaled it to fit the scale for this doll and went ahead and printed it. After prepping the surface, I went ahead and gave it a couple coats of brown acrylic paint. Once my base coats were opaque enough, I apply a wash of thinned out black acrylic paint. I coat the whole basket in a solid wash, and then I wipe away any excess. This allows the paint to get down into those crevices. Once the wash layer is dried, I can apply a dry brushed layer of lighter brown on top of that. After I was finished with all the painting layers, I decided the contrast just wasn't high enough for me, so I took a black watercolor pencil and started detailing around some of the wicker weaves. Once satisfied, I sealed it with a layer of Mr. Super Clear. Now for those carrots. I'll be making those out of epoxy sculpt, and this time I actually have gloves. So I use my gloves to mix up the epoxy, but once I have it all mixed up, I do take the gloves off because it's very hard to sculpt in them. I take the epoxy and roll it out into carrot-like shapes and then add little stems and things like that, and then I use my sculpting tools to add some little imperfections and lines like you see in real carrots. I'll leave those to cure for 24 hours and then I come back and give them a base coat of black acrylic paint, and then I just apply different layering effects of different colors of oranges and greens to get them the color that I like. I prefer to use a dry brushing method to add the colors, this way I don't have to go back in and add those deeper shadows. And finally, our little bunny girl is done. She just has to get dressed and get ready to be given. I did want to thank you all so much for watching, and if you please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned to the end for some final reveal photos as well as a video of her being opened. I will apologize in advance for the crazy sound on the opening video because my daughter was going crazy between whispering and yelling in excitement. Remember, always be creating. Okay, you can go ahead and open your surprise.
So it slides?
Mm-hmm, yep. So what do you think?
It's the best! Oh, it's taking a makeup.
Is it just like you were hoping?
Yes. She's beautiful. She's so beautiful. I love her so much. Is that real hair inside of her ear? Oh my goodness.
So is she just exactly how you pictured her when you were describing her?
Well, not exactly, but she's even more perfect.
She is. I'm so glad you like her.
Because she was made with love.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,